Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from, everybody. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, and interviews. Today's Tuesday, April 4th. Hope you're well. Going to get started with today's live stream here momentarily. We'll give it another minute or so for people to join us. I see we have some people already joining us, so welcome to the live stream. And see we have some requests already. Going to jump into a market update during this live stream, and we'll do some ticker requests at the end. If anybody does have any requests, just let me know the ticker and the exchange. That would be greatly appreciated. But if you could just remain patient for another 30 seconds or so, and then we'll get started with today's content. All right, I see we have quite a few people joining us. Welcome, welcome. If you could let us know where you're tuning in from, we're going to get started here in about 10 seconds. All right, welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, everybody. It's Rod with Pow Group. If you could smash the like, I would appreciate it. Help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell to be notified on any future videos or when I go live. As I mentioned, today is Tuesday, April 4th. Hope you're well. Kind of get started with the live stream. Going to do a market update and some ticker requests. If anybody does have any ticker requests, just let me know in the live chat, the symbol, ticker symbol, and the exchange. That would be greatly appreciated. And let's go. So we had quite an eventful day today in the markets, and the MJ industry continues to take it on the chin. We do have some economic data coming up on Friday, which is non-farm payrolls, so we'll be watching for that in terms of economic data here for this week. But in terms of earnings, not really seeing much earnings out there. There's nothing that's notable that's going to move the needle this week. But I am getting a video here. I'm going to be posting a video shortly after this one. It's going to be regarding Tilray, and those earnings are scheduled for next Monday at after market close on April 10th. So I'm going to do a video, some analysis on that, and some estimates for what to expect in terms of revenue and EPS. So we'll jump into the market update here for the day today. Crypto at the moment pretty much going flat. We did have some rumors that CZ was potentially being targeted, and basically it was just a bunch of FUD that never amounted to anything. But we know that the SEC is power hungry at the moment. They're suing exchanges, they're suing companies, they're suing projects, they're suing just about everything under the sun, and we need the whole industry to come together. We know Grayscale, we know Coinbase, Ripple is fighting the SEC right now, and tons more likely to come. As we know, they're saying that there could be another couple hundred enforcement actions coming, and we recently heard that Gary Gensler is trying to get another couple of $1 billion for funding in order to add more resources, more staff to the SEC, and that's likely going to mean a lot more cases coming. But we'll see whether or not the SEC versus Ripple case has any decision. There's a lot of speculation that it could come this month. There was speculation that it could come last month. That didn't amount to anything. I'm not going to get into predictions or anything like that, but personally I think that it could come at some point over the next couple of months, and I'm prepared for either scenarios. I'm prepared to a dollar cost average if we continue to dip from here, and I'm also fully prepared for prices to continue on the upside, right? So lots of analysis pointing to XRP at $1 here in the not too distant future. But at the moment, markets are just basically going flat. Bitcoin on the daily time frame, we are holding the daily EMA 12 here, so the exponential moving average on the 12 period. You can see here we've yet to close a candle below it, so that'll be notable. If we do close a daily candle below that, we can likely expect a decent pullback, right? After having some sustained upside here over the last month or so. We know that we just started weekly consolidation, and we haven't consolidated all the way down from 19,568. So I think the odds of us consolidating, this is a weekly inside bar, so resistance at 29,190, support at 26,525. We lose support, we start weekly consolidation for the second week in a row, and if we break resistance, we continue the weekly bounce. So we're just looking for a higher low to form compared to that 19,568 level. We've yet to confirm a weekly uptrend with a higher low and higher high, so we need that higher low and higher high. If we do pull back from here, it'll just be healthy in my opinion, and expect to pull back to around $23,000 to $22,000 USD as the most likely scenario in my opinion. But we did have the EMA 12 and 26 bull cross as well, and now we're potentially coming back the other way and seeing a bear cross. So again, adding a little bit more confidence to the fact that we could see more downside from here. But in terms of the monthly time frame, we do have our low, high, higher low, and higher high. So we are getting back into a monthly uptrend, which is looking good. And right now, The rest of the broader market has yet to do so. SPY, if we take a look here in the monthly time frame, all eyes are going to be on key resistance here at 416.72. So we'll look to follow in the footsteps of Bitcoin here and the rest of the crypto space. But nice recovery there off of the low there at 15,460. Bitcoin now already up off those lows almost 88%. So a decent recovery here. And like I said, this is a step in the right direction. And we could even see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross here over the next couple of months on Bitcoin. We know that Grayscale is fighting the SEC to get their spot Bitcoin ETF approved. So right now that's a trust. They're looking to convert that into a spot ETF, and they're suing the SEC. So they could even potentially win. And if that happens, then we could see we could see that convert into a spot Bitcoin ETF. And that would be obviously massive for the price of Bitcoin, right? So that could line up over the next couple of months. We could see a verdict in that as well. May not be 2 months. I think it's going to be longer than that. I'd say probably I'm in the camp of about 6 months before we see that happen. But we'll continue to monitor the progress on that. But in terms of movers and shakers on the day today, we have LBC, GMX, and HP leading the decline. And on the bull list, we have Hex, Casper, and NDA. And one thing I wanted to bring up here as well, XRP. So XRP on the monthly time frame, we were in an equilibrium. We had the low, high, higher, low, lower high, lower low. We had a bear break and then into a bull break. So once we broke key resistance here at 55.9 cents, that confirmed the monthly uptrend with the low, high, higher low, and higher high. So now we're looking for that follow through. Now we need to get above 59-cent resistance, and we could potentially see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross here as well on the XRP chart. And then after that, we have a lack of resistance all the way up to 91 cents and $1 psychological. So it's looking like $1 could be in the cards here in the not too distant future on XRP. Looking really good. But like I said, XRP, Bitcoin, the rest of the crypto space definitely leading here in terms of technicals and strength on the monthly time frames. The S&P 500, so the SPY chart, we're looking for key resistance to be broken at 416.72. If we break that resistance, we're back in a monthly uptrend, and we're more than likely expecting a lot more upside from here. But if we do continue to consolidate, if we lose support here at 379.20, that monthly higher low, then expect a potential right shoulder here in an inverse head and shoulders somewhere around the 360 area. I think that is very, very possible as well. At the moment, you know, it's hard to tell where we're going to go from here. We're just looking at key support, key resistance. So key support is going to be, like I said, 379.20, and key resistance is going to be 416.72. If we lose 379.20, we continue monthly consolidation, and if we break 416.72, we confirm a monthly uptrend. And like I said, I am expecting us to deviate from this .com fractal that we've been following very closely, just because of the fact that the markets are so manipulated. They're printing trillions and trillions of dollars to prop up this market artificially, and Congress is still yet to be banned from owning stocks. So watch for Congress to be banned for marking a top in the market, because like we all know, the SEC is about creating fair and orderly markets, but we know that that's the opposite of what the markets are and what they do. They're far from orderly. They're far from fair. They're 110% manipulated pretty much 110% of the time. So that's what I'll be looking for until proven otherwise. Something else that we're looking at as well is the DXY. So the dollar index, US dollar currency index. This is just a comparison to a basket of other currencies. So I think it's about 6 other currencies. You know, the yen, the pound, the euro, and then basically the power. It's not the purchasing power of the dollar, it's comparative to a basket of other currencies. So right now, this is the most important chart that I could really bring up here over the next couple of weeks and months. This is going to be the chart to be looking at, because we have a potential for a monthly downtrend to occur. And right now we're just expecting a monthly lower high as the most likely scenario, and we're getting dangerously close to support there at 100.82. And that is super important, because if we lose that support, we confirm a monthly downtrend with the high, low, lower high, and lower low. So if we lose 182, that confirms a monthly downtrend. But not only that, anything under 106.46 is a potential monthly bear flag. So if we lose 100.82, not only we're going to confirm a monthly downtrend, it's also going to confirm a monthly bear flag, which has a target of about 93.70, which would be extremely bullish for stocks and crypto, right? So if we see this monthly downtrend and bear flag confirm, we can expect a lot of upside in stocks and crypto. So like I said, we'll be watching DXY. Precious metals, so gold back over 2,000, breaking to a monthly higher high, back in a monthly uptrend, low, high, higher, low, and higher high. So we're getting close to all-time highs here on gold, which realistically could be set any day now. The all-time high to be looking out for is 2075. So 2075, we essentially double topped there. And we know that countries have been backing up the truck. Excuse me. Frog in my throat. Still getting over a sickness. Pretty close to being over it now. But essentially, we know countries have been backing up the truck on gold ever since the lows of March 2020 and all the money printing started. And that's to be expected, right? So I think gold could easily be 2,500 to 3,000 here over the next few months. But again, we are getting a little extended here. We're not close to monthly overbought yet, but we are getting there. I do think that that's a good area for us to target, though, monthly overbought territory on gold, as we know that the US dollar is just losing its dominance, and this could be the end of the US dollar realistically as the world reserve currency. We know that the petrodollar, we know that the BRICS nations, Brazil, India, Russia, China, there's even BRICS Plus, which I think there's like close to I think there's like over 100 countries right now. But essentially, we're going to see the demise of the US dollar as the world reserve currency. A lot of people are saying that we're in a recession, and then the US government is, changing, the Fed is changing what the definition of a recession is. I think we could be leading into a depression. But one thing that experts are saying that most people have no idea that's coming is not only we're entering a recession and a potential depression, we could see the collapse of the US dollar as the world reserve currency, right? And the petrodollar, which just means that all the oil and things like that are settling, the petrodollar, they'll no longer be denominated and sold in US dollars, right? It'll be used using the yen. We know that they're already accepting, Saudi Arabia is already accepting it in different forms of currency. And a lot of, the world wars were created based on oil, right? And after the world wars ended and, the war in Iraq and all that stuff, they went back to settling the sales of oil in US dollars, right? And truly, I believe that XRP was created. There's a saying in the crypto space that XRP was created to prevent World War III. A little bit of a rhyme. XRP was created to prevent World War III. And I think that that's spot on, right? XRP was created by Bitcoin developers. They set out to create a better Bitcoin that didn't use mining, wasn't high intensive in terms of energy, and was able to process thousands of transactions a second, potentially at scale. And what do we know about XRP? It was created by Bitcoin developers, but not only that, the company Ripple, which was later created after XRP was created, they're based in Silicon Valley in the tech, the tech sphere of the US. So if the US is going to lose its US dollar reserve currency, what better way than to create a company named Ripple and put them in Silicon Valley, right? And new fintech. And if they know they're going to get disrupted, maybe they wanted to be disrupted. Maybe they knew this was coming and they created XRP. They created the company Ripple to facilitate cross-border payments, to act as, the best crypto for payments. And not only that, to tokenize everything, right? Stocks and bonds will eventually be traded, so we'll be able to trade stocks 24/7, 365. But imagine XRP is the bridge currency, right? And no one has to trust it. And that's a big thing about trust in the financial system is you have to trust other banks, other countries, other sovereign entities when you're transacting. With XRP being permissionless, nobody controls it. There's arguments that Bitcoin's heavily centralized because it's about 4 mining pools that control all the mining. So it could easily be manipulated, right? And centralized. So XRP is actually fully decentralized. And like I said, you don't have to trust other countries. You can just trust the ledger, trust the code, the mathematical code. And like I said, it's just alphanumeric code that has been in existence now for over a decade. And it's used in enterprise level grade software. And it's a multi-trillion-dollar problem that we're solving right now with cross-border payments, the tokenization of everything, right? Stocks and bonds, mortgages, land titles, vehicle titles, music, all these things are going to be tokenized in some form or fashion on the blockchain, right? So got off on a little bit of a tangent there, but like I said, the end of the US dollar, isn't it just odd that Ripple is based in the United States in Silicon Valley, and they're looking to replace SWIFT, right? And we know that ISO 20022 just went live. New messaging for the banks and different settlements and things like that. Not actual settlements, but it's a messaging system that they use to communicate with one another. But Ripple's actually figuring out the settlement. So 3-second settlement time versus 3 days right now. It takes stocks. If you sell a stock, it takes about 3 days for it to settle. Eventually, that'll be on the XRP ledger, in my opinion, and it'll settle in about 3 seconds. So, like I said, gold acting as a bit of a safe haven. And I think, again, that adds more confluence to the fact that the dollar is going to continue to see downside from here because of the fact that we have the BRICS, we have countries backing away from the US dollar, and just the amount of countries stockpiling gold ever since March 2020. It's been, the writing was on the wall. And like I said, I think gold is going to be a great beneficiary of the demise of the US dollar as the world reserve currency. Whether or not that happens over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, years, that remains to be seen. But I think we're definitely closer than we are than most people think, right? So gold very, very strong at the moment. Tesla starting daily consolidation today for the second day in a row. And we're just looking for a higher low compared to the low here at 185. In terms of movers and shakers and individual names today, we have VEGA, Gold, and Snow leading the bull list. And on the bear list, we have AMC, SPCE, and Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond was one of those names I told people to run for the hills. We had some massive moves, though. Like, there was definitely volatility in each direction. You had like 600% move there. Off the low here, it was up about almost 500%. And then here we are down from the last monthly lower high, we're down like 95%. So this thing was a ticking time bomb, and hopefully people didn't get wrecked on this one because, yeah, there was lots of volatility, trader's paradise, but yeah, if you were looking at holding this thing for the long term, you were burned. In terms of Canadian MJ, as I mentioned, I'll be getting a video out here probably in the next 40 to 50 minutes on Tilray. Going to be going over earnings that are set for Monday, April 10th after market close. I go over some analysis and go over some estimates from analysts and what to expect. Not expecting it to move the needle in the sector very much because of the fact that the whole sector is still bearish, right? We need something, a sector-wide catalyst. Tilray earnings, when we get back into a bull market in the sector, definitely going to have a lot more weight behind it because it's the leader in the space, the biggest MJ company in the world. So that'll have more weighting at that point, but not expecting it to move the needle a whole lot. It could move Tilray stock, double digits, but I'm not expecting the rest of the sector to move double digits as a result. Maybe 5% or something like that. If they have a big miss or a big beat, we might see 5% to the downside or the upside, respectively. But like I said, not expecting it to move the needle too much in terms of the sector perspective, but in terms of Tilray, we could see it move Tilray quite substantially here, depending on if we miss or lose. If we miss it or beat on those estimates and how much we beat them by. And it also depends on how much we pull back into a beat or how much we run into a miss, right? So if we run quite a bit into a miss, then we're likely going to pull back well over 2 digits, right? Well over 10%. And then if we pull back quite a bit and then beat by quite a bit, then we could potentially see a lot more upside because of the fact that we've been pulling back. But we are potentially starting weekly consolidation. It's 2 weekly inside bars in a row. Going to end it there for Tilray analysis because I am getting a video coming out after this. But it is targeting a lot more downside. We could potentially see $1.75. So check out that video when it does come out here in the not too distant future in the next 40 to 50 minutes for some more updates on that. But in terms of movers and shakers today, we have PWR, XTRX, and WIB leading the decline. And on the bull list, we have XLY, Oxley, DB, and Love leading the bull list. In terms of USMJ, on the bull and bear list, we have BAM, Ian, and Acreage leading the decline. And on the bull list, we have FIT, BEV, and CL. So Cresco Labs trying to defend that $2 area. But the tough times continue in the MJ space. And if we take a look at February 2021 highs, all names down now on average about 80 to 90% plus from those February 2021 highs. And the MSO gang, they were humbled. People who were screaming from the rooftop saying that USMJ is the only thing worth owning and the Canadian's garbage. Well, guess what? Even the profitable companies like GTII, people are finally starting to realize that, the sector moves together. Even if it doesn't matter if they're profitable, unprofitable, LPs, MSOs, producers, retailers, ETFs, everything is down on average about 80 to 90% plus. Case in point, GTII, profitable company, great numbers, continues to see incredible growth, and now down over 80% from February 21 highs, right? So that is the name of the game right now until we see the sector change, right? But in terms of MSOS, as I mentioned in the newsletter and before a couple times, I think that there's a massive swing trade presenting itself. Again, not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold. But giving an idea here that we could potentially see a massive move here off $5 support. So what you could do, how you could play this is look to play $5 psychological, and then you could set a stop just below. So depending on how much you're entering is likely going to depend is likely going to depict your stop loss. But personally, I think that you could look to start to scale in now. And if you had an average of around 530, like we do right now, or closer to 5, set your stop maybe at 474 or just under 450. Essentially, if you entered now and you set your stop around 475, you're risking about 10 to 12% to make an upwards of, if we go to EMA 12, that's about 100%. And then if we go back to monthly resistance, that's about 170%. So risk 10 to 15% to make, 50 to 150%. Definitely a great risk to reward opportunity. But even for the long term, this is a decent name to hold, in my opinion, based on the fact that we are at all-time lows, breaking to a monthly lower low. And we're getting close to that, like I said, $5 psychological support. That's pretty much all I have in terms of market updates. We'll jump into the chat here. And if anybody does have any ticker requests, please be sure to let me know. But as a reminder, I will be getting a Tilray video out here shortly after this as well. So SPY up a tiny bit here after hours. And it's a daily inside bar here on SPY S&P 500 futures. So on the futures chart, we're daily inside bar at the moment. So we'll see which way this breaks. And actually, we take a look at the daily time frame. It is a daily bull flag. So if we take the low to the high here, move our measured move out to the 0.32 fib. Saying here that we could be targeting about 429 on SPY. Well, this is the futures chart, so to be slightly different on the SPY chart because it factors in dividends. But just to give you the level here on SPY, anything over 404.97 is a potential daily bull flag on this daily consolidation. So if we lose 404.97, that's going to decrease the odds of this daily bull flag continuation. But in order to confirm the daily bull flag from here, we need to break the high of resistance. So we're starting daily consolidation. So tomorrow we would need to break 411.92 to be confident. And if we do, we're targeting about 428 on SPY. Hello, Rod. Can you have a look at Oxley on the TSX? I'm holding 50K shares long term. Thanks. Yep, no problem. We can take a look at that. I'll start by saying, though, there's not a whole lot to update in terms of individual MJ names. We're just waiting for the whole sector to reverse. And Oxley's just one of those names we, like, even on the weekly time frame here, we basically have no volume, no activity going on. Even on the monthly time frame, it's very, very low volume. Like this month, there's how many shares traded? 13 million. I guess it's not terrible. 13 million shares traded. So if we do 13 million times about, we'll say 1.5 cent, about $195,000 traded so far this month. So it's not, and that last month was only, it was actually less than that, 11 million. So it would have been even less than that, or like $170,000 traded. So it's very, very low. There's just no activity going on right now. And then obviously 1.5 cent is the floor right now. But I mean, if you got to enter, you're there at 1.5 cents or even 2 cents. If we go back to all-time highs, you're looking at a potential upside of 150x, right? So $1,000 investment into $150,000. And the most you can lose is like $1,000, right? So that's how I play this. If you got 50,000 shares right now, I'm not sure what your average is, but you could look to potentially dollar cost average, just bring your average down. Again, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold. This isn't financial advice, entertainment purposes only. But right now, that's how I'd play it. I've got a Oxley bag. I'm just going very, very small on it. I'm not looking to add any more. Pretty much bags are packed. I've got a couple $1,000s invested into this one, and like I said, just the most I can lose is a few $1,000s, and the upside is really sky's the limit. Even if we go back just to all-time highs, that's about 150x. And then if we go back for, anywhere from 100 to 200x, and then imagine if we go to all-time highs and beyond, right? But yeah, there's not really much to look at here in terms of a chart perspective. It's all about 1.5 cents, and then we have no resistance all the way up to about 4.5 cents. So that's the range we're looking at right now. And we're still in a monthly downtrend with lower highs and lower lows. So it's just waiting on the sector to reverse, right? But EMA 12, look at that resistance, got above it, and then huge upper wick, close below it. So if we can get a weekly candle close over that resistance at 2 cents, EMA 12 on the weekly, that will be a notable shift. And we'll want to see multiple closes. Usually you want to see 2 or 3 to be confident. But yeah, this thing could easily rocket up to 5 cent, around the 5 cent mark here, bearing any catalysts in the sector. Let's take a look here. Reload that chart, Oxley.to. So yeah, we're right on the 10-week moving average as well. We are seeing a bull cross of the stochastic and the MACD still bullish. So I want to see a candle close this week over 2 cents. And then, like I said, we need to get a close over EMA 12 there, which is sitting at, on the weekly time frame, that's sitting at 2 cents. So if we can get close at like 2.5, 3 cents this week, and then again next week, we'll see multiple closes above that, and then we'll start to see a momentum shift here, in my opinion. But yeah, nothing nearby until the 50 weekly there at 5 cents as well. So that should be strong resistance. If we can get over 5 cents, then I think 10 cents is very, very doable. Again, just a very, very low volume. Still a ways away before we could see a golden cross here of the 50 and the 200-day moving average. Likely going to be multiple weeks, a couple months before we see that occur. So still lots of work to do. Hello, Euro is the biggest, I think. Yep. Yeah, you must be talking about DXY. See, that's it's going to be interesting. DXY, I've been saying for a while now that I'm expecting at least weekly oversold before we see a pretty big bounce. We did see a decent bounce here off the lows for around 5%, but here we are right back down towards support, and we still yet to print weekly oversold. So I think weekly oversold would be a nice bottom to be targeting on DXY. And like I said, if we have the high, low, lower high, and lower low, that would give us a monthly downtrend. So it's all about 182 support on DXY. If we lose that, we confirm a monthly downtrend, and we also confirm a monthly bear flag, which is targeting 93, and our previous monthly support is at 94. So I think that that's very, very doable. I don't think we're going to go straight to monthly oversold from here. It would most likely be a series of lower highs and lower lows. But I do think that weekly oversold is going to be an area to target somewhere around that 93, 94 level, and then we'll see a decent bounce again on the monthly time frame as the most likely scenario. But again, if we lose 182, expect a lot of upside in stocks and crypto. Yeah, DXY, it's going to be all eyes on that. That's the most important chart right now. Good evening. What are your general thoughts about MSOS? All continue to make new all-time lows. Green thumb looking to go under $7. Yeah, and you know, I did some analysis earlier on it. I do think it's a great trade playing off $5 psychological. So a nice swing trade. You could set your stop, you know, around 474, maybe under 450. And depending on how much, you know, capital you're going to throw at it, you could stand to lose a little bit more in terms of stop loss. But, you know, risk 10 to 15% to make 50 to 100 and 150%. Decent risk to reward opportunity here in terms of $5 psychological, looking to bottom fish that support. So I think it could be a nice swing trade here. But even long term, I mean, you know, this is all-time lows. The sector's not going anywhere, right? We know that's medicine in the future. It's just going to be a waiting game at this point. So I think that, you know, the upside obviously not going to be as great as with individual names. But like I said, MJ, doesn't matter if they're unprofitable, profitable companies, doesn't matter if they're American, Canadian, doesn't matter if they're retailers. Everything is down 80 to 90% plus from February 2021 highs. And like you said, GTII knocking on $7, right? And we have no support all the way down to 505 now on the monthly time frame. So we're essentially in free fall at the moment on the monthly time frame. If we look at the weekly, yeah, there's not much weekly support here either. Down to about $5. So again, just be careful what you wish for and be humble, right? Because how many people were saying, you know, US MJ is way better than Canadian MJ. It's the only thing worth owning. Told you so. And here we are down over 80% from February 2021 highs, even on the profitable names. So people are finally getting a couple of, you know, they're getting a slice of humble pie and realizing that, oh, it's not one company or one or two companies in the MJ space. It's not a Canadian producer issue. It's not a retailer issue. it's an MJ issue, right? Until we have reform in the U.S., till we have the Canadian government catch up to and support the industry like they said they need to do, right? Even the Canadian government agrees with us that they're lagging and they need to catch up to the MJ industry, right? So if the Canadian government is legalized over 4 years ago and they're still not catching up to the MJ industry, where do you think we are in the grand scale of things, right? We're probably in like half of the first inning, right? We've still got 8.5 innings to go, before we see critical mass and mass adoption, right? And then the U.S. hasn't even legalized medical. They haven't even, done the full-blown legalization, right, from a recreational level. Then we have Germany coming online, the rest of the EU, the rest of the world. Mexico's an underrated market as well. Like, we're so early, it's not even funny, right? And MJ isn't going anywhere. The trick is to just find companies that are going to stand the test of time and that are going to be here in 2, 3, 5 to 10 years from now, right? And that's why a diversified portfolio is super important. But yeah, I think MSOS could be targeting a bottom, like I said, right around $5, maybe even a flush thereof. There could be a lot of people with stop losses just under $5, so we could go stop loss hunting. That's why I would suggest a decent stop loss gap there, maybe around 474 or maybe just under 450, and then look to scale in, right? But this could be a monster swing trade. MSOS, again, if you're only in one MJ name, if you're only in a few different US MJ names, you don't have any exposure to Canadian, you don't have any, some of the Canadian names like Tilray have great presence in Germany, right? So there's some benefits there. Cureleaf, I think, is going to be a good proponent for, they're going to be a good beneficiary of the German market going legal, and Aurora as well. So there's ways to diversify, right? And then MSOS, maybe you can put a little bit more money into this one, right? Because you feel a little bit more at ease. Maybe you can put 5 figures, 6 figures into this thing, and you're going to sleep better at night because it's an ETF and it has a basket of different MJ names, right? So there's just different ways you can play it. I've got American producers, Canadian producers, retailers, both US and Canadian, and then I've got some ETFs as well, right? So just diversification. Not only that, but diversified outside of the MJ industry. I've got some crypto altcoins. I've got real estate here in the Edmonton market, and I've got some mutual funds as well. Most of it's money market at the moment. But again, check out my video on how I'm preparing for the biggest market crash in history, which could potentially be coming as a result of the US dollar losing its world reserve currency. That's never happened before, right? And as we know, people are expecting recession, depression. What people aren't expecting is the demise of the US dollar as the world reserve currency. Is the US dollar going to go away and never come back? I don't think so. I think it's just going to transform, and it's no longer going to be the world reserve currency. We're going to see some form of digital currency. In my opinion, I think it's going to be XRP right there, actually right there. And I think it's going to revolutionize the way that we transact. It's going to create more financial inclusion, and then it's going to, I think, like 2 billion people in the world are unbanked. So if you have a cell phone, and then Starlink's going to be going up pretty soon, that those 2 billion people that aren't a part of the financial system are going to have access to the new financial system. And that's going to be huge for big companies, right? Countries. That's going to create more demand for the dollar, right? So people in Africa who don't have a bank account will be able to be a part of the new financial system with a cell phone and Starlink, right? They have internet, a cell phone, bam, they're in the new financial system. And that's going to create more financial inclusion, and it's going to create more profits for companies and countries, right? And I think it's going to make the US dollar stronger. It's just we're not going to see the US dollar hold the world reserve currency, and it shouldn't, right? Why should the US get to hold that? Why should the US be the world reserve currency? Why not create a currency, a virtual currency like XRP, which is controlled by no one? It's fully decentralized. It's deflationary. And it's secure. It's been running for over 10 years with no issues, right? No downtime, no hacks. And it's a Silicon Valley, Ripple promoting it. That's the biggest, it's basically Exxon to oil, right? Ripple's a company, a centralized company, and then Ripple's a decentralized virtual currency. And Ripple holds a ton of XRP, right? And they want XRP to do well. They want the whole crypto space to do well. And it's just like ExxonMobil. They have a ton of oil in their reserves, right? They own a ton of oil. And they're the biggest oil company in the world, but that doesn't make oil a security, right? And like I said, I think it's time for the U.S. to back off as the world reserve currency. And whether or not this market crash is going to be the worst in history, I think it could. How's that going to affect MJ? Well, check out that video if you want to learn how I'm preparing for it. But yeah, there's no sugarcoating it. We could see a lot more downside from here, right? And this is just a learning lesson for people. to never invest any more than you're willing to lose, to be diversified, and to realize that the whole MJ space is in turmoil until we have a sector-wide catalyst, until the sector matures and we start to see reform from the US, Germany, the EU, the rest of the world, and even Canada, who are now 4 years into legalization, who have admitted, the government admits that they need to catch up to the MJ industry, right? So if the Canadian government isn't even caught up after 4 years of full-blown legalization at the recreational level, just imagine how much catching up to do the rest of the world has to do, right? So like I said, it's super early. I know it feels like an eternity, and we've just been taking it on the chin one after the other. How much more can we take of this? At the end of the day, it's only going to get legalized once. We know that this is the industry of the future, probably going to offer the most gains percentage-wise over the next decade or so. And just change your mindset. This is an opportunity to continue to save money, dollar cost average, and be a part of this new asset class that's going to be here for decades, right? So are you still adding to your MJ stocks? Yeah, I did add Cureleaf today. So there's news. I did a video on that. Let's go to YouTube, go to my POW Group channel. And then I did a video on we need change, 280E and MJ Act here in Canada. So there's a consultation period right now. The MJ Act in Canada is potentially going to see some changes with regards to packaging, labeling, advertising, taxation, all that is being discussed. And then we also have New Jersey potentially changing legislation to remove 280E at the state level. So that will be huge for MJ companies, as we know that right now, due to taxation, companies are spending anywhere from 30 to 50% of their revenue, their bottom line is going towards taxes under 280E. And even in Canada, that's 30 to 40% of revenue is going towards taxes. So we need that change. But a great beneficiary of New Jersey is Cureleaf. So again, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold, just being transparent with everybody. I do own Cureleaf. I did add it today in my TFSA. I maxed out my TFSA contribution room for the year. And any new additions to MJ, I'll be adding to my RRSP. But yeah, look at Cureleaf, all-time low from the highs of February 2021. We are now down over 85%. So continue to add, getting close to monthly oversold. And like I said, Cureleaf going to be a big beneficiary of the German market. And I think that they're going to be a big beneficiary from the New Jersey potential changes there with 280E. And that's just, again, tip of the iceberg and writing on the wall that more states could follow suit. And then even at the federal level, we could see 280E, right, no longer be an issue. And that's going to have to do with rescheduling of the drug, right? And the HHS, DOJ, we could see some sort of verdict on that leading into the fall, potentially. So like I said, Cureleaf. And then the founder and executive chairman, Boris, said that Cureleaf would already be paying a dividend if it weren't for 280E tax code. They said they've already paid in taxes about $340 million to the U.S. government under 280E. Right, so that, imagine all that hitting their bottom line. They said they'd already be paying a dividend most likely, and they think that MJ companies are going to be high cash flowing businesses, meaning they're going to be offering a lot of dividends. So that should get people excited. But that's why I'm adding Cureleaf. I think that it's going to be a great beneficiary of the New Jersey proposed legislation changes, and then German market as well. I really like Cureleaf, their branding and their leadership. But yeah, I'm looking to add more U.S. names. I like Cresco as well. I'm going to be looking to add more of that one. GTII. TrueLeaf could be a nice beneficiary of medical going legal. So if we see legalization of medical, that's going to remove a lot of those 280E barriers and the burden on their revenue and their bottom line. And if TrueLeaf has medical dispensaries all across Florida, then that's going to be huge for TrueLeaf. So it could be a nice beneficiary there. But yeah, MSOS can't go wrong. And then I'm going to be looking to add more Tilray and more Canara Biotech as well. Definitely want to add some more OGI, Organogram. No shortage of good deals out there, but I'm sticking to the large cap names. CGC, new 52-week low, not an all-time low though. but we have no support here on the monthly time frame all the way down to 101, which is the all-time low here on the NASDAQ. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm still not sure how the NBA news didn't move the MJ sector. That's massive news. Yeah, so again, it's nothing. It's definitely great news, but the MJ industry needs more than that, in my opinion. Like if an actual deal happened, or another professional athlete signs a deal with a kind of an MJ company, obviously that's going to be huge, and that would likely spike whichever MJ company, probably multiple digits, right? 10, 20%, if not more. But we need the whole sector. In my opinion, we need something like Germany. We need something like medical being legal. We need HHS and the DOJ to get back to us about potential rescheduling. That would obviously be huge for the space as well. But yeah, other mergers and acquisitions as well could potentially move the needle. But yeah, just not a big enough catalyst, in my opinion, to see the whole sector reverse. It's great news, but I don't think it's anything that we didn't really already see coming either. The NBA has been a big proponent for and progressive leader in terms of MJ. So they've been leaps and bounds ahead of the rest of, other professional sports leagues. So it's not really, I think a lot of people kind of expected it, maybe is probably why. But yeah, it's brutal. Unfortunately, in a bear market, news just doesn't have as much effect either, right? When things are down 80, 90%, you need something drastically bullish, right? Yes, it's bullish, but again, when prices are this beaten down, that's probably the reason why we didn't see anything move, in my opinion. It's just because we're waiting for a massive catalyst. And something massive would be, potential rescheduling or descheduling, or, German market, seeing more progress there. It's just unfortunate that news just doesn't move the needle in a bear market as much as it does in a bull market. Same thing with, when we're uber bullish and we're at, all-time highs, bearish news doesn't have that great of an effect on MJ or on any sector really, when we're seeing sustained upside and massive upside, right? And then in a bear market, when we have lots of downside, bullish news doesn't really move it, right? But if we can get back into a bull market and then get some bullish news, that's really going to move it. But yeah, and unfortunately, it is what it is until we get into this bear market. News, positive news, just isn't going to affect it much. And even realistically, based on how beaten down we are, even negative news isn't really going to move the needle too much, right? There's not really that much more downside that we could see from here, in my opinion. That's why I'm definitely in the camp of just being patient, dollar cost averaging, and just waiting for potential for rescheduling in the U.S., potential legalization of medical. That could likely come first. And then the German market start to ramping up. And other mergers and acquisitions that we could see in the space as well. So, and then obviously there's a green swan that could happen, right? We could potentially see another big company get into the space, or another big change from a different country, right? There's lots of speculation that the EU could potentially be next. Rest of the EU, right? In the UK, going to be a massive market, specifically medical. So high tide, yeah, we can take a look at high tide. High tide had a nice recovery, down about 3% today, but off of the low there at 103, off that low we were up about almost 40%. So decent move off the lows there, but we haven't even started the monthly bounce yet, so there's not that much to get excited about. We had resistance from last month at 141. We hit 142, so we just barely broke above that. But we're back within that range of last month. So key resistance is going to be 142. If we can get over that, we have a lack of resistance up to 223. But we still need monthly trend changes. So we need the low, high, higher low, and higher high to be confident. And we're still stuck below this resistance line here, the red sloping resistance line. That's sitting there around 180. And this is on the NASDAQ. So we're still extremely bearish at the moment. And it is a monthly bear flag. We had a weekly bear flag that was targeting $1 or 99 cents, and we hit 103. So weekly bear flag target was met. But on the monthly time frame, we're still in a monthly downtrend. Anything under 311 is a monthly lower high and a potential for a monthly bear flag. And then once we lost 130 support, we confirmed the monthly bear flag. And the monthly bear flag measured move, if you take the high to the low here, and then move it out to the 0.32 fib, it's targeting about 71 cents to 70 cents. So it's all about $1 psychological. If we lose $1, we could potentially see 71 cents here on high tide. But again, it's not guaranteed. It's just looking at the charts and preparing for all scenarios, right? But we're still in a weekly downtrend as well. Actually, we lost the weekly uptrend, but we didn't confirm. Let me just see here. Actually, I wouldn't consider that enough of a lower high there, but here you could say high, low, lower high, and lower low. So once we lost support there at 138, we confirmed a weekly downtrend. Anything under 179 is just a weekly lower high. So if we can get a weekly uptrend confirmed, get our higher low and higher high, then we'll zoom out to the monthly. Watch for the monthly bounce to get underway. And then we look for a higher low and higher high. So we're still got multiple months worth of work to do before we can be confident a bottom is in on high tide, because we not only do we need monthly trend changes on high tide, we need it across the sector, right? The rest of Canadian names, American names, retailers, MSOS, HMMJ, those ETFs. So we're still multiple months away. But like I said, just expecting more downside as a potential monthly bear flag. If we can get over 311, that's going to negate the odds of this monthly bear flag. But look at this weekly bear flag. It took so long for that to play out. But eventually we made it there, right? Nothing is guaranteed down to the second, the day, the minute, the week. Sometimes it can take months. Sometimes it can take years for these things to play out. But we were targeting about $1, and then here we are. I was targeting that back here in June, so in summer of 2022. And then we finally hit it in March of 2023, right? Doesn't mean that there wasn't some bounces to be had and some nice moves to be had to the upside along the way, but the overall prevailing trend was down, right? And right now, it's still saying that we could see more downside before we mark a bottom. In terms of the weekly, we are right at the 10-week moving average here, and we're seeing a bull cross of the stochastic and the MACD. So I'd like to see a weekly candle close over 132 this week on high tide to remain bullish, and then we have the 50 weekly there at 169. So that should be a decent resistance level to be looking out for as well. And then in terms of the daily time frame, we do have the 200-day moving average there at 152. So 150, 160, going to be strong resistance. We were gearing up for a potential golden cross there, but we broke down to a new lower low. And could even be at risk of another reverse split if we drop below $1, right? If it gets under $1 for 30 days, could potentially see another warning, and then they have 180 days essentially to regain compliance. See their stock trade, but again, we can't get too ahead of ourselves. We know Organogram was warned. They've got a warning. We know Aurora as well got another warning. So again, it's not just one or two companies in the MJ space. It's all of MJ, even great names like High Tide with great fundamentals and financials. But we could see a golden cross here over the next few months, several weeks and a few months. We could see a golden cross occur. Might even be in the next couple months. So we'll continue to see that. Again, the Canadian government is reviewing the MJ Act. So in my opinion, what's going to get us out of this bear market is the Canadian government or the U.S. government changing some sort of legislation, creating some sort of legislation or amendments to taxation, things like that. That's going to really ignite the sector. And then if we see MJ rescheduled in the U.S., obviously a lot of companies are probably going to get into the space because they're going to feel less. They're not going to be as apprehensive because they're going to feel that it's now no longer Schedule 1. Our shareholders will be right. They have to adhere to their shareholders and stakeholders, their investors, and they probably don't want to touch it until there's that clarity around what it is, right, and what it's going to be rescheduled as. But right now it's on the same list of heroin, and so it's no wonder people don't want to touch it in companies and things like that. There's even some news out that that MJ is going to really help with opioid addiction and overdosing and things like that. And then, as we know, the pharmaceutical industry has the most to lose from MJ, right? It's this medicine of the future. Not only is it recreationally, from a recreational standpoint, not only is it attractive from that standpoint, it's also the biggest aspect is the medicinal, right? So high tide definitely a nice move there off of the lows. So congrats to the bulls who did play off $1 psychological. That was a nice level to be playing off of. Like I said, that weekly bear flag target was targeting 99 cents, and we hit 103. So if you entered with a stop just below $1, you would have about 40% of upside. Like I said, lots of great opportunities from a swing perspective, but not completely out of the woods yet. We are still potentially targeting 70 cents here on this monthly bear flag. What's a good ETF for Canadian MJ in your opinion? HMMJ is one to look at. So the Horizons, the MJ Life Sciences ETF. There's also MJ, the Alternative Harvest ETF. There's Global X MJ ETF, POTX. Yep. I'd have to check this one. This one's global, but yeah, HMMJ and MJ is probably your two best bets. Last one, Hexo, please. Looking forward to your Tilray video. Thanks for all that you do, Rod. Yeah, you bet. No problem. Thanks for joining the stream. And yeah, we could see something come of Tilray earnings, so we'll be seeing whether or not they mention Hexo. But yeah, Hexo, not much to update here. We're still just looking for a monthly higher low compared to the all-time low there at 90 cents. So we're starting monthly consolidation, having lost the low of the previous month here in February last month. And here, the low of last month is 118, so that's going to be the key support going forward. If we lose that, we continue monthly consolidation for the second month in a row. If we break resistance at 171, the high of last month, then we continue the monthly bounce for the second month in the last 3 months. And then we'll look for a trend change. So if we can form a low, high, higher low, and higher high, we'll be back in a monthly uptrend. But again, just like High Tide, just like a lot of other names, we need monthly uptrends confirmed across the whole sector. So like I said, we're forming this higher low now. It's set up a lot better than a lot of other names from a technical perspective because we're finally getting a higher low now, and then we could potentially change the trend. So if we break resistance now at 185, we'll be in a monthly uptrend. Whereas like names like CGC are breaking to monthly lower lows, it's still multiple months before we can see a trend change here, right? Because we would need to start the monthly bounce, break the high of the previous monthly candle, form a high, then a higher low, then a higher high. So like I said, we're still a long ways away before we see that on CGC. Even Tilray is a monthly inside bar, so we haven't even started the monthly bounce yet. In order to start the monthly bounce, we would need to break 283, and then we would need a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So, excuse me. Like I said, just getting over this pretty nasty cold, and hopefully be better in a couple days. But yeah, like I said, Hexo's standing out a little bit better situation than most here. As a lot of names are dropping to monthly lower lows, and we're still holding the lows, and we could potentially see a monthly higher low and higher high, and give us that uptrend. But again, we need the whole sector to confirm it. But yeah, it's not looking too good out there in the MJ space. So we'll be looking at Tilray earnings, and then Hexo being a partner of Tilray. We'll see if there's any mentioning of Hexo in that conference call or during the press release. And then, like I said, there's been a lot of rumors going around that we could see Hexo bought out by Tilray in a few months. That was back in January. And we'll see if it has any truth to it. The person that mentioned it to me, they said that the CPG partner was no longer. So they're right about that. So we'll see whether or not they're right about Tilray taking over Hexo. And that could come realistically over the next 1 to 2 months if they're right. So I don't know if it's true. Really don't know. But I'm just preparing for all scenarios, right? I've got Tilray in my portfolio. Hexo is by far my biggest position, but I am looking to add more Tilray leading into earnings. And like I said, just be prepared for all scenarios. And then if Tilray did acquire Hexo, then essentially you would find out what the premium is. The industry standard is about a 20% premium. So if there's a large premium, then that would be very, very good for Hexo, right? We could see Hexo's price really skyrocket. And it's notable that Hexo's holding up pretty good here while the rest of the sector is dropping. Like I said, CGC dropping to new 52-week lows and monthly lower lows, whereas Hexo's still holding its lows and looking for a potential monthly trend change. So we'll see. But then again, Hexo has pulled back a lot more since February 2021 highs, so CGC just playing catch up, right? CGC from February 21 highs, it is currently down about a little over 97%, right? And then if you take a look at Hexo from same time period, Hexo's down over 99%, right? So just playing catch up, but not looking too bad here with a monthly trend change possible. All about 185 resistance from here. In terms of the weekly time frame, still below the 10-week moving average. We are seeing the stochastic cross bullish again, and the MACD has remained bullish this entire time. Weekly, you have nothing nearby until the 50 there at 246, and then in terms of the golden cross, we're still multiple weeks, potentially a couple of months away before we see that golden cross. And again, I think the most likely scenario is that we get some sort of favorable change to the MJ Act here in Canada, and if there's any kind of change to taxation, that's going to absolutely skyrocket these names. And Hexo, very, they had positive cash flow from operations the last quarter, and then if they hit positive adjusted EBITDA over the next quarter, and then positive EPS over the next few quarters, that would be a game changer, right? But going to end it there. Looks like that's pretty much all we have in terms of requests. And we're coming on an hour here for this live stream. So like I said, going to be getting a video out on Tilray. That should be out in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Going to go over the earnings estimates and doing some analysis on that as well, what to expect leading into earnings, how I'm playing it. But going to end it there. Just taking a look at the SPY after hours here on the futures chart. Still a daily inside bar here on the futures. So we'll see whether or not we can confirm that daily bull flag on the S&P 500 and target around 428. But going to end it there. Thanks everybody for joining the stream. It's a pleasure as always, and thanks for your contributions and your comments. We'll see everybody on the next video. If you could smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit the bell. You'll be notified on any future live streams or when I post a video. And yeah, have a great night. It's Rob with Pow Group, and we'll welcome you back on the Pursuit of Wealth. Probably tomorrow I'll get another video out. But have a great night. We'll talk to you again soon. See you on the next video. Take care.